Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com here with a bonus video, just in case those recordings, some of them, I know one of them cut out the audio 3/4 of the way through the game, and the other one might have been a little bit noisy because I was recording the local game store. However, this one, I will not be interrupted. Hopefully you can do a good commentary on the Storm deck. Plus, I was a little disappointed of how the Storm deck has been playing out. I think that we've lost most of our games just from terrible draws rather than and bad luck streaks rather than the deck actually underperforming. So I'm hoping to give a good show here. Yes, we won the die roll. Yes, we'd like to play first. And very good hand. We have Desperate Ritual, Manamorphose, Grapeshot, Simian, Spirit Guide. All we need is an enabler like Pyromancer Ascension, Past in Flames, or the Reforge the Souls. So no way are we going to mulligan this hand. Our opponent does have to mulligan, but we will go ahead and just chuck out a mountain and pass the turn back to him. So really not any dead draws that we can draw into. Again, I would like to see a... Ooh, it's going to be Affinity, which we might be able to get revenge on Affinity, especially since it looks like it's a pretty slow Affinity. I mean, we could even Grapeshot that Mem Knight, but no point. We'll wait till he overextends, and then we can go crazy with the Grapeshot. I'm thinking it's okay to Gitaxian Probe here for 2 life. And we see Steel Overseal, Arcbound Ravager, Blinkmoth. That's a decent hand against what we're trying to do. We are actually trying to find, or are trying to race damage, and the double Blinkmoths allow Inkmoth Nexus to at least get in for 2 damage per turn. I'm going to go ahead and lock it here, pass the turn, and now our Grapeshot, our Desperate Rituals cost, the second one will cost 1 less. So in all honesty, I could try to go off here on that turn 2 by Simian Spirit Guide into a Manamorphose, but the chance of us actually hitting are pretty small here. So I probably will end up Grapeshotting to kill off the Steel Overseer and the Mem Knight. Might as well, unless we draw into something that guarantees that we go off, because that will set him back. And again, I think that's the right play. It's just going to be Manamorphose to try to find a land. And no land, so we'll just Grapeshot here and here. And it's a 2 for 1. It's like an Ancient Grudge. So now he's going to have to try to kill with the damage, or Infect rather than damage. Which again, he'll be able to get in for... Ooh, now it's going to be... Nope, just Arcbound Ravager is going to come out. So he can move it all on Inkmoth Nexus. So we do need to try to go off here. And unfortunately, like, Faithless Looting needs to find us something good. Which it does not. It finds us another Faithless Looting, which we can actually now cast one in the graveyard for free. And I think we just get rid of this Locket of Yesterday. It's kind of redundant. And now we'll just use this other Faithless Looting to try to find us something. I mean, how much infect damage can he do here? So we can get rid of this Goblin Lore and maybe a Simian Spirit Guide, and we can try to Reforge the Soul, go off here. Will that add enough? I'm not quite sure that it will actually add enough. Let's just do the math here. We can Desperate Ritual for 2, then Desperate Ritual. Yeah, at no point into Faithless Looting here quite yet. I mean, we don't have the mana for it anyway, I guess, since the other one got exiled. So, Simian Spirit Guide, Desperate Ritual adds 3, and then 4. It would add 4, 5, exactly 5, but then we'd be out of cards. And so this next turn he can go sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. I don't think he can kill us with the Arcbound Ravager onto the Inkmoth Nexus. I don't think he'll have quite enough to do so. Cranial Plating. Actually, now, does that just win? No, on the Arcbound Ravager. So that's awesome. He's just going to go for damage here. And next turn, it's going to take a miracle for us not to go off. So it's just going to be 5. And here we go. We're going to draw into Mountain. That's actually going to be nice. And we're going to exile the Simian Spirit Guide. And then Desperate Ritual. And we can actually splice it. Yeah, that's actually better. So Desperate Ritual for 6 mana. Desperate Ritual for another. So we have 8 mana. This will fill up our hand. And again, we're really going to have to draw into some nasty, nasty luck here for us not to win. So Galvanic Blast me, you go down to... Oh, geez, he could... No. We're fine now. So we can Desperate Ritual, Past in Flames, and I'm going to try to hit something else with Gitaxian Probe. We're so dead next turn, of course. Pyromancer Ascension hits a Desperate Ritual, but I don't think we need to. At this point, we just go... we just exile these. And then we can... Past in Flames? No, I'm in a Desperate Ritual here. Because now we can Pyromancer Ascension. And then Past in Flames. And yeah, we should be really good here because then we Desperate Ritual. And then again, now we can... I'm going to Gitaxian Probe him. Or is there 2 Desperate Rituals in there again still? Gitaxian Probe him. This puts another counter on it. Which then allows us to duplicate a Manamorphose. Which allows us to play a Pyromancer Ascension number 2. There is a Desperate Ritual in the bin, so we'll use this one. Which adds us up to 9 mana. And then we can... we'll loot here. Which we can get rid of Mountain. Mountain. Which then allows us to, of course, Desperate Ritual. And then we can Gitaxian Probe. Which finds us, geez, mountain galore. We can Goblin Lore here. Which then, where's our second Grapeshot? What am I up to? We will Faithless Loot. That'll just draw 6 cards. And we still don't hit our other one, but I think we're fine by now with the storm count. Let's bring up our graveyard here for stuff we can cast. Let's see here. We can cast this other Past in Flames. Let's see, 1 Grapeshot's in there. The other Grapeshot's still not in there without a draw spell. So Gitaxian Probe, just in case. Puts us to 2. Manamorphose would actually not draw us out. We'd have 1 more card, but just in case there's not... I think Grapeshot's at lethal now. And he's going to try to waste time, but that's okay. He's going to try to mill me out those few seconds just in case that it actually matters. But it won't matter with an aggro deck versus a control deck. If he kills me on this one, it will be fast. Again, we're going to bring in the anti-affinity package, which is Lightning Bolts. Blood Moon is actually really good. It takes care of Inkmoth Nexus. And I think it's worth it in this. I really do. I really think it's worth it to bring in the Blood Moons against them. As if he brings in hate, then I have a response to it. Even though just one, I think, needs to come in. And I'm just going to get rid of a mountain and submit that. Very good hand. Anything with lightning bolt's really good. And see if this guy, this particular affinity build decides to bring in some hate, but it doesn't look like he does. He goes crazy, that's for sure. Well, we got the lightning bolt for whatever shenanigans he tries to pull, like a cranial plating, in response to the activation. And I think we just take one here. I'm okay with taking one. And he just gets that weird, awkward hand. This is Affinity for you. Sometimes this happens. And you just have nothing really to do with all of your mana. Now, this is interesting to Faithless Loot here. I will. Which, we can get rid of the Goblin Lore at this point. I don't think we need the other Simian Spirit Guide. Or would you not need a mountain? I want one more mountain. We'll get rid of the Goblin Lore. Yeah, and a Simian Spirit Guide. And we'll keep up the Lightning Bolt for next turn. Or for his turn if he decides to run out like an Inkmoth Nexus. Inkmoth is the card that we have to worry about the most. Again, I'll take a damage. There's no point to lightning bolting here. Especially here now that we can Pyromancer Ascension. And we could go Simian Spirit Guide, Manamorphose, and hope to draw into something. But I'm going to give us one more turn with all of our mana. So see, it'll be a turn 4. Again, this deck can go off on just a couple turns. On turn 2, in fact. And turn 1, it can go off with the perfect draw. But a lot of times it doesn't need to. So here we're just going to go Manamorphose to draw us a card. Spell Pierce unless we pay 2. That's fine. I think we'll just wait one more turn. Or do we want to pay the 2? No, I'm okay. No, this is something we probably want to pay. But he's going to Galvanic Blast me. We'll add red. We get a Gitaxian Probe. Well, I'm gonna cast this for 2 life. No. We need to see what we get off the Manamorphose. Number 2. So this will give us a counter. Another Pyromancer Ascension. At this point, we can play it, but then that puts us in pretty dire straits. I think it's just a lightning bolt. And I'm just going to pass the turn one more time to him. Which, again, with cranial plating, I could get hit for a decent amount of damage. But it's just going to be a Vault Scourge. And he actually pays for the mana with a Mox Opal, leaving a Mox Opal untapped. But this mountain should guarantee... Maybe not, it won't guarantee anything. Because the Gitaxian Probe will get another trigger off of it. And then Faithless Loot. And we can get rid of this Pyromancer Ascension. And then hopefully find something. Or we can cast the other Pyromancer Ascension and get a... I don't think we need double Pyromancer Ascension. Just an Ancient Grudge, which doesn't do much at all. Now that's going to allow us to... Oh, I thought I had another Gitaxian Probe in the bin. I did not. So that finds us a Faithless Looting that we can at least get rid of these mountains. And unfortunately just pass it back to him. So we whiff into mountains, and he's still a draw away from... Okay, Sneakmoth Nexus. He does 1 damage here. And he's got that Ancient Grudge. But there's the Pass in Flames. And we know what's in his hand. So we can just go... Pyretic Ritual. Desert Ritual. Pass in Flames. And this should find us enough. At this point, then we can cast the Manamorphose, which puts a counter on it. Which then now we can go Desert Ritual. And then we can actually safely cast this Pyromancer Ascension number 2, which then we can Desert Ritual to put copies on this other Pyromancer Ascension. And then what do we have in here that has doubles? Nothing at the moment. I think Manamorphose is the time to cast it. Which finds us Reforge the Soul. I mean, he'll kill the Locket if I put it out, so no point. So I can cast the Reforge the Soul. I'll cast the Gitaxian Probe. I just want another counter. There we go. That will add the other counter to the Pyromancer Ascension. Actually, I don't want to Reforge the Soul. Absolutely don't want to Reforge the Soul because it could actually draw him into triple Galvanic Blast, and he does have the mana for it. So I would have to just Grapeshot, Pass in Flames Grapeshot, and I think I'm fine at this point. Or just make him use the red mana here for a Locket, if he even wants to do that. But I think it's just Lightning Bolt his face. And I think that we've cast plenty here for the Grapeshot. Yeah, exactly 12. But this adds some more. And a little sloppy, but I mean it got the job done. And again, these Affinity decks that bring in the hate. I don't know if that's the right way to go against Storm, because the way to go against Storm is just you got to race them. You just got to hope they whiff and race them. I mean, there's a few like Ethersworn Canonist absolutely do bring in. But the one matchup with the Thoughtseize or the, I guess, Tormod Scripts, I don't know. I just don't think it's really worth it to bring in a lot of cards that go counterintuitive to what you're trying to do with I guess the Thoughtseize, like, a Thoughtseize is a card I'd bring in against a deck that I know is running Shatterstorm. So I don't get, you know, first turn I can get that Shatterstorm out of their hand, and then hopefully they don't, you know, so I don't get blown out turn 3 or turn 4 by a Shatterstorm. But against a combo deck like Storm, where it's going to be doing 2, 4, 6, 8 damage to itself through Gitaxian Probes, or if it's the blue version by shocking itself, I just think you just stick to the aggro plan and go, you know, all out aggro and hopefully get in there for the damage before Storm goes off, rather than trying to disrupt it. I may be wrong here. Maybe I don't have enough experience playing against Storm. But, I mean, Soul Sisters, I do, Soul Sisters is my go-to deck for Modern, and when I play against Storm, I do bring in the hate, and it's because Soul Sisters isn't an all-out aggressive deck. It's more of a mid-range deck that just hoses any deck that tries to do damage, and so Storm, I can't try to race it, so I have to bring in the hate. But a deck like Affinity, if I was playing red, like red deck wins or anything like that, I don't think that bringing in hate against the Storm is the way to go. Let me know in the comments if that's how you know, if you have more experience playing at Storm with more aggressive decks. Like I said, aggressive decks generally aren't. There's two archetypes that I don't play very often, and that's all-out aggro decks, like very, 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 very aggressive decks, like, you know, red deck wins or burn, or in this case, Affinity or Zoo. And then a lot of times I'm not a fan of more control type decks. So I don't have the most experience playing those decks against certain decks, but it doesn't seem like that's the right strategy. Anyway, this has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.